That way we can always refer back to it. Okay. You should have controls.
I will try, and I have. So the
Okay.
question is yeah. You want to have an assembly that actually turns all these into 16.
Right.
In one go.
In one go, right. Each
yeah.
project's going to be a certain duration, and all those items are depending on the duration of that project.
Okay, so everything that actually is week should be, for
Right.
example, 16.
Right. Or
so,
it needs to be a variable so we can change it on whenever we need to.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
One way to do it is actually if I will split my script into 2 parts, so to speak. What I do now is I say Control-Shift-I to actually enable the script editing. And what I would do now is that I would like to create a dialog here. So what I would say here is weeks, for example, like that. And
okay.
then I would say I would add an input field for that called integer, parentheses, start and end, and the semicolon. And now I'm just saying enter. Do a number of weeks, for example. This is my input field now. What I need to do as well here is that I need to say that this component here contains an executable script. I will do like that. I will save and verify now. What I need to do now is for all these, and I will move this a bit here to the right, and I will expand this one, if that's possible. It is. What I need to do now is that I need to add an executable script for all the components actually being weeks, for example. So if I go to my PM vehicle here, I would say self.set, and then I press Control spacebar, and then I have this, set quantity, Control spacebar, and then I would set the quantity for being the value of the variable that I added earlier called weeks. I will save and verify it and close. So what I have now is that I have now my general condition now having this small flash here, indicating that I have a script here, or what we call a smart assembly. And if I launch this one, what I will have now is that I will have this input field, and I can say 16 weeks. And clicking OK here would now turn this vehicle into 16 weeks. What I need to do now is that if I go back to this, Control-I, I can easily copy, and then I can go to, let's go here. For example, the foreman PU. Make it nice, Control-V, save and verify my supervid. This is because it actually doesn't look upwards, it only looks downwards. This is why it actually throws this error here. Say Control-V again. Save the script, close it. Now going back again, and fire the script once more, saying it should now be, for example, 8 weeks. And what I have now is that I have 8 weeks in the vehicle, the foreman, and the supervision here. So I can add this self-set quantity to all the subcomponents or line items that I have here throughout my estimate that actually should have this kind of week.
Okay, that's good.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I can finish it from there. Okay. David, do you have any questions or any comments?
That ain't going to work for estimators.
It's not?
No.
Okay.
Estimator.
I need to clarify here.
Estimators do not want to be programmers.
No,
You are-
no.
You are putting in their programming language. Estimators don't want to.
Exactly. But I need to clarify. What you see here is I do some setup that had to be performed only once. So if I save this project here, then I will have, you could consider this as being a template. So what I would do as an estimator, I would run this script here. I should type in 23 weeks and say, okay, that's what I have to do as an estimator. All the coding stuff has to be done in the assembly or the smart assembly only, and only once.
I hear you. I can do it. I can set all that up. An estimator is not going to go in and start modifying that using that kind of a language.
Nope.
They're not going to do it. I know the group. I was an estimator myself. They want to estimate. They want to come up with quantities. They want to be pricing things out. They don't want to dick around with programming script.
Nope.
But David, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to set those assemblies up and provide them to them. They're not going to do it themselves.
Exactly.
I think that's. I mean, seriously, at $49 a month, we've got to be able to rely on. We got to have them push back to us to build those assemblies or teach them how to do it. That's where the money is for us.
Yeah, exactly.
So David, go ahead.
I totally agree. The estimators should not do this programming as we just have seen here. What I just tried to do is to show you how you actually can build those smart assemblies and provide these smart assemblies to your customers. And what they should do is either you can have these smart assemblies in your libraries down here, and while you actually drag them in, you will have this dialog type of thing here where you can enter your quantities or whatever, and then you actually will have all your quantities published in your estimate.
So how would you say that assembly is down in your library then?
What I actually would do is that I don't know if I can. I don't want to mess anything up down here.
It's nothing real. It's just stuff that I was playing with. So you can do anything you want.
Okay. So what I would do here is that I would say I'll just call this part test here. So what I would do is that the general assembly that I have here, or the general conditions, I would drag into, for example, into that level here in my library. Okay. What I will do now is that I will, and what I actually have to do before that is that.
So you could rename 5 as assemblies for a list of assemblies right here.
Exactly.
Okay.
So what I would do now is that now I have my library, so I would drag in this thing here, or this component, into my estimate. While I do that, the dialog appears, and I can type in 23 weeks, saying, okay. And now it will add this general condition here that I just added with the 23 weeks. So these type of assemblies can be added either to your Sigma libraries or your templates. And what you can do is, while you actually configure your smart assemblies in your library, you can do some calculation. You can do, more or less whatever we would like to do to actually make it as easy as possible for the estimators to actually build up their estimate.
So as an example, and I'm just taking this next step, and if I wanted to build an assembly, just say for concrete sidewalks or concrete curves, doesn't make a difference. I could enter in, have a pop-up say, how many linear feet of curb and gutter is there? And I could say, linear feet of curb and gutter is 1,100 linear feet, right? And then I could come in and the next prompt that I say, production rate, and I could just say 50 feet an hour, right, or something like that. It would then calculate it would calculate my labor hours as well.
Exactly, based on the assemblies that you will have underneath.
You can have productivity in the items, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. the production rates.
All right. Dave, do you have any other questions on assemblies? I think I'm going to, after, obviously, I'm going to go back and watch this so I pick up all the steps, but my next step is I'm going to just go and try and build a couple of these. Any other tricks?
Are you going to be working on making this more manageable for an estimator to work with?
What are you after for the estimator? What should he have?
I would want to be able to build an assembly, drag in the items I want to have, and then have some calculations right next to the items, so that when I put in linear footage of footings, width and height, it does my calculations for the forms, for the cubic yards of the concrete, for the curing, for the keyway, blah blah blah. And without going through script like you're doing, make it more to the basic math per item. I just don't see estimators wanting to get in and do that. And
no, the intention is not that the estimators actually should do it. I agree to that. And I think we should actually aim for being able to provide smart assemblies or assemblies that you actually can group into bigger assemblies that you can actually make the estimation.
And and that is absolutely great. But
hey, David, do you have estimating open right now?
Do I have estimating? I could have it open in 2 minutes. I mean, in 30 seconds.
Yeah, so why don't you get it open? Go ahead. So if you can open that by word chat, and maybe just to give Fleming an idea, we can just give him an idea of what one of the assembly looks like that we're obviously we have to change Fleming, but we can show you what one of our assemblies looks like.
Give me 3 or 4 minutes, and I'll come up with a real.
That's fine. That's no rush. So we'll kind of show you what we're looking at, and all you got to do is tell us, hey, that's possible, and then we'll just move forward, in that light. But we can show you what our guys are accustomed to. We'll work on what David's accustomed to programming for the last 20 years. As long as you can say, hey, what you're showing us in one of your assemblies is easily, or it's not even easily, is achievable within Sigma, then we're good. It's good to go. We just got to make sure we can do what we're doing today.
Perfect. And then we can come up with an example afterwards.
Yeah, and we'll just show you a sample of exactly how we do it today.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so while he's doing that, the next thing I had a problem with, and wasn't a problem, I just was confused, is I set up a item for a concrete subcontractor where I took these prices, set it up as one of these, I forget what you guys call this thing, it's page type, component comparison.
Yeah, that's comparison, yeah.
So I took a price from ABC and I took a price from XYZ. I selected this guy to be my supplier, okay? And it worked fine, because when I come over to concrete, it brought over that $1,200, okay? Exactly. Did I do something wrong? I was expecting, since I put the supplier's name column here, to have that filled out. Does it not do that?
Try to go back to, I can do it myself. It was here.
Right.
No, unfortunately not, because what you actually have here is, that's only the text. There's no connection between the supplier name and that's a bit annoying. I see actually where it's coming from. The thinking is that you have your supplier name as the column header here, so to speak.
Right.
And then you decide to go for X, Y, Z. What you have done here is that you have added a custom field where you actually have add the supplier name.
Right.
It could make sense that when you actually select XYZ that it actually publishes here.
Yeah, and maybe I have to put it in a different column in there to make that happen. But I'm just thinking that on a lot of our GCs, they've got price. They've taken prices from a lot of guys. It'd be nice to know who I'm going into the close with without having to open each of those up to see who it is.
Yeah, exactly. Let me try to have a look into the inside here. Inside view. Crop, not make. That was the column that you actually had here. Yeah, sorry for that. That I need to investigate, because what I actually would like to have was some kind of extract that where I actually use subcontractors. I can see that I have used subcontractor XYZ for activity ABC and subcontractor ABC for activity blah 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 blah, something like that.
Right.
I'll investigate and come back with a good answer to that.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that was. I just, like I said, when I did it, I thought maybe I didn't turn the box on or something. I didn't know if I did something wrong, but I mean,
Nope.
I'm not saying that's not necessary, but it should be nice.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next one is, so on this one here, this masonry subcontractor. Hang on, I'll get you right. Whoops. Yeah. So in here, you know, it looks like the only way I can enter prices is a lump sum. If I take a price for a task, is there a way to put in a unit price and say that it's 1,100 feet, and he quoted me $2 a foot, and another guy quoted me $1.98 a foot, another guy quoted me $2.10 a foot? Is there a way to put in units and price and have it extend out the price, unit price, or does it only work off of a lump sum?
The thinking here is that you only have this lump sum.
Okay.
The workaround could be that you actually would add a comment here how you actually calculate it. So you could make a remark here.
Mm-hmm.
But that actually doesn't do what you are requesting here, I would say.
Right.
Then but you would actually have multiple line items and how they actually are calculated per supplier.
Yeah, so it's a lot of, not a lot, some of our contractors, they work off of unit price contracts, and so
yeah,
the owner, in this case, could be it's a government agency, says, hey, we want you to bid on 1,000 square foot of this and 800 linear feet of this, and so you're always bidding off of a fixed quantity, and then you're getting prices, suppliers or subcontractors for those unit prices, and you're not taking the dollars. They're just saying, hey, it's $2 a foot or $3 a foot, and then you have to extend out what their bid would be.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can take a lump sum and then put in the notes what their unit price was if we had to.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. So let's take one more item, and then we'll get back to David.
Ready on assemblies whenever you want to let me.
All right. Yeah. Let me. Let's just do that next. Hang on a second. I'm going to make you present it real quick here.
Yeah.
Here you go. So what you're looking at, Fleming, is Sage estimating.
Oh, I don't see it right now. I just have to see white.
I don't either. Hang on 1 second. It is coming.
Yeah.
There you go. You see it now?
Yeah. Good.
Okay. All right. So here's an alternate way to think about it, and I'm going into edit mode at this point. Can you see my screen okay?
I do see it fine.
Okay. So here are the line items and the number and structure that I have them organized, line by line by line by line by line. And this happens to be a table where there's multiple items in here. I meant to take that out. And so each line, and then right here is a math formula. And if I go edit the formula, the guy sees length, he sees width, he sees height. He sees the multiplication signs, he sees a divide sign. Length times width times height, divide by 27. We all know that's cubic yards. I know you do cubic meters over there, but over here, anybody in construction knows exactly what that is. They're looking at it in English. And when I test it out, it comes up to me, and and I can test it out, and I know I got 1 cubic yard, 3 by 3 by 3. This formula is right to the money. And then I can use these things here, which in our terminology we call variables, and I can do different things with them. And so I could come in and say, for my forms, I want it to be the length times 2. And for my strips and forms, the same thing. For the keyway, it's simply the length. And I did these 2 lines. One, I went back to the raw math, length times width times height, divide by 27. And in the other one, I embedded that formula right there. And then down here, it is for shape and grade the footings, it's length times width. So based upon length, width, and height, just by answering those 3 questions, I'm able to get 4 or 5 different calculations out of that. And so that works, and when I call that up, I answer my questions, 100 foot long and 3 foot wide and a 1.5 feet thick, and all these calculations occur. But if the guy goes backwards and says, how did all of that stuff happen, he can look at it and see the math right here. And you're going to have a much greater success, at least over here in the U.S., if people are able to see the math, or as an alternate, if you had, if you put together something like Excel, and maybe you gave the guys like, 3 or 4 lines. So here is, a line, forms, and then there's maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 cells, and I can do some math between the cells, so that somebody can come in here and say, okay, it was this times that to get me my value or something. Somehow, I think you'll have much better success in the U.S. if you get away from the script. Estimators simply do not want to do that here. I mean, I have no idea how the market is over your way, and across the ocean over there. But here, their eyes. Now, some people will like it. Mostly people who are right out of college, who are kids. But you get older guys who got the crunch of time. They're working to get estimates out the door. They're going to want to modify these formulas to fit their uses. They want to come in here and they don't want to do if then and script language and all this other stuff. And I can do it. I don't like to do it, but I can sit down and figure it all out. Either Pascal or BASIC, and come up with one example and then use other examples, and I can do it in a real rudimentary fashion. In Sigma, from what you showed me, I can say, yeah, I can make a bunch of assemblies work, and I will do that for dentists. But for estimators, it's a small world in estimating here, and people are going to talk to one another. And if all of a sudden people are saying Sigma is a great little program, but making those assemblies isn't, you got to have a degree in programming. Believe me, you don't want to get that reputation.
But David, I think I understand. What I had a task, and I tried to solve the task. And I need to understand, and of course we would like to support you as good as possible, no doubt about that. But one question to this one here. When you actually have such an assembly that you show me here, I consider that as being one assembly. Is that true?
That's correct.
That's correct.
I have multiple.
Who's creating such an assembly? Is that the estimator himself, or is it you?
It's the same concept of what we're looking to do with Sigma. That there's a database, there's a bunch of pre-built assemblies in the database, and then the people use that. So this is all of these assemblies, and there's like 500 of them here in this database. I have built every one of them.
Yeah.
And people like dentists sell them. And then contractors come in and they say, oh, footing forms, length. You know what? We come in and we also want to bring over the height of it. So it's so I'll go out and find where my height is, and I'll bring it in here. So it's length, not height, length plus width. So for the end, some people take it off and some people don't. So I can say length. So somebody may come in and say, I want to make the modification to the math so that my forms look like this instead of what came over with it. And I believe from my conversations with people that across the water over your way, estimating is much more structured in that people kind of have agreements on how things are done. And here in the U.S., it's the Wild West. You go to 3 companies. Three of them are a mile apart, and they all are bidding the same kinds of jobs, and they're all friends and they're all buddies. But I guarantee you, they look at their estimates in 3 different ways. There is no in the U.S. there is no standards as to the way people do things. I wish it was better, but that's the reality of the way it is. And
but I still think that the situation here in Europe is pretty much the same. That what we actually are trying to do is helping people to estimate, coming up with the best possible cost or the most correct cost, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think creating those assemblies here in a nice and easy way. And what I think I understand from what you're saying is that you need to recreate another 500, and you should move them to Sigma in as easy as possible way to actually deal with it in a nice way for the estimators.
Yeah,
as well.
I mean, you guys offered to do that, but I just don't see you taking 500 of. This is a simple one. I don't see you taking 500 of these things and making it work in your program very easily at all. And so, I mean, I know that I've got to build the 500 of them. And like I said, I can figure out that math. But when I sell to someone, they're not going to do it. And they're going to throw up their hands and they're going to say, this frickin' thing doesn't work. I can't easily go in and make the change.
No, I understand. What I actually would like to do, because I know that Magnus have done quite a lot of this stuff here and converting things, and he also would like to really understand that to improve what we actually have.
Yeah.
Would it be possible? He's doing the skiing right now.
Yeah.
Could we have this topic on our agenda for our coming meeting next week?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
And I'm not saying this is the way to do it. I'm just saying, in this exact format. All I'm saying is, if we can take the programming script, put it in the background, and pardon what I'm going to say, make this stuff in English so the guys can see length times width equals this.
Yeah.
And I could put up a couple ideas in an Excel thing and send them over to you, saying, look, here's one way to do it, and here's another way to do it. And
that would be great. Yeah. And also the input form.
Right. And I personally, I think, now believe me, I know nothing about programming. So, but if we could come up length, I spelled it wrong. Maybe you could come up with a little thing like this where someone could put in, length, width, and height, and then for forms, it is, you can actually are going to be seeing the words. So we bring into here, it's length, and it is length and height. And so, maybe the words here, and then there is, plus this times this kind of a thing. If I don't know if you can, I don't know how Excel works, I don't know how programming works, but if somehow people could see stuff and not look at that script in the background, you will get a lot more traction. And I understand you've got work to get. I understand this takes time to do and all that stuff, but I'll come up with a couple examples and shoot them over your way.
Hang on a second. Here's a salesman for a second, because that's what I am, okay? And I'm just going to sell to you for a second, David. Say, let me show you Sigma, okay? This is the way it works. I really want to be able to see the words, and I want to be able to change the formulas. That's great. Let me show you SACE estimating, but, that's going to be about $5,000 plus training. Would you want to take a look at that? It's not really all that important to me. The other way works fine for $49. I mean, if it doesn't like the one way, we'll just say, hey, you know what? We got another product. It's going to cost you $5,000, but then plus a database for $3,100. But you can have exactly what you want. just like this. But you know what the guy's going to say 9 out of 10 times or 99 out of 100? He goes, you know that $49, $79 version is probably going to be okay for me. You know, I may not like that programming. I may have to get you to do it, but I'm not going to ever spend $7,000 having you do it. So just give me the cheaper version. Yeah. And that's all. And you got to give me a choice.
And I'm not saying make this complex to the level of Sage. You know, let's just come up with a simple little way of bringing things in and having some assemblies, and being able to kind of see the math here, and you'll have better traction. And let me tell you, I've been doing this a long time along with Dennis, and there's a program in the U.S. called MC Squared, and MC Squared is a real high-level, complex piece of estimating software, but it's virtually impossible for any user to go in and modify it on their own. I know some people do, but it's a major effort to learn how to do that and all this. And one of the sales tricks that we had for a long time, but I haven't used it much lately because I haven't heard much of them. They got bought out by RIB, by the way. But one of the sales tricks we used to do when we were in competition with MC Squared was we would tell our prospects, look, if you want to come in and change something, here we go. You can see the math. And by the way, how do you want to change this? Would you rather have strip and oil forms length times 3? Okay, let's go in and I'll make this length by 3 for you. Now I know that doesn't work in reality, but I want you to know that we can come in and very simply make these changes and you can accept them. Now ask the guy at MC Squared to go into their equivalent of assembly and make a simple change like that for you. And their sales pitch was never show the client the background. And so when
one question.
Yeah.
I'm a bit curious. What you shows me here is actually how you actually maintain this assembly. If this estimator should add this assembly to an estimate, how would we do that?
To send it to an estimate?
Yeah.
Let me just get rid of all this. I go into where the list of assemblies are, and I open up the list, and this is that assembly that I worked on. And when I hit enter, it brings forth the items for me down here, and it brings those questions up here. And when I hit this plus, it does the calculations for me.
Okay.
Now I could change these values and say my next leg is 75 by 2.5 by 1, and hit plus again. See how it increments my values?
Yeah.
And when I'm all done, I just click OK, and that comes into the estimate.
Yeah.
Now,
so,
once again, I'm not saying that this is the way to do it, but that's the way it works in this program.
Yeah. So actually, what I see is that we have what you showed me here at the end was actually the user interface from the data they use, and the other part was actually how to create your own assemblies that you rely on, or you do your regular maintenance of the assemblies.
Right.
And that's two different things, isn't it?
Yes, but if you note, the screens are almost exactly alike. You know, here's my takeoff mode. I can go out and find it, and this is the way it looks. But when I go into edit mode, and it's just a right click, it looks very similar. So.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, and the maintenance and the creation of the assembly, that's the discussion that I would like to have with Magnus to have a deeper understanding and to have the right saying to him. So if we can have that next week, I would be more than happy.
Yeah, I'm around. It's next week. Is it next week Monday? I'll be around. So make sure I'm on. Is
Magnus back next week or the week after?
Next week.
Okay. Yeah. Because the next week I'm going to be at the Con Expo show. So.
Okay.
Anyway. All right. So I want to do one more thing before we get off here. So I'm going to take back control real quick here.
No problem.
To me.
Do I need to give it to you? Okay, you got it.
I got it. All right, and so I got that, and now I'm going to give Fleming, Sony still got a keyboard. So I want to build, that's good. I'll find an item real quick, maybe this one here. Can you take this, add another item here, I don't care what it is, I'm going to say it's sidewalk, just for the heck of it, okay?
Yeah.
Can you show us how and you can add it, you can just change all this is just kind of a sample database. Can you add the column so we can now do the sidewalk with production rates? Show us kind of what your thought process is when you're doing an item with production rates and that kind of thing? You can add any columns you want. I'm fine.
Yeah, but you have a column here already, I think, called production rate.
Okay.
And that you actually can use to specify your production rate for that specific line item here. And what you normally would do is to set up some kind of assembly, and then you will specify that you have a production rate of 10 line feet per hour, for example.
Can we go ahead and do that? Can we go ahead and build that assembly then while we're here? We got a couple minutes.
Maybe I should find a good example and send to you.
Whatever you want, or you can just build one, or you can go to one of you already have or something.
Yeah. And Dennis, I got to buzz out here in 10 minutes. I got another one of these.
Yeah, I'm going to record this. I'm going to send you the recording anyway.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I've got it recorded. I'll just send you the YouTube link.
So if we say that we have a sidewalk, and then the sidewalk should be produced by, let's say, some labor. And that would be hours. And then you would have a production rate of, let me see, 10. Is it like that? And some 40. So that means that I can produce 10 units per 1 hour here.
Okay.
If I go one step up here to my sidewalk, then it would say that if I have a quantity of 100 here, then I basically should spend 40 hours on that. If I now go to my resource sheet here and have a look into my, is my hours actually removed from here? That's because I don't have any categories. Let's say order down. I will call that labor. Going one step up, having a look in my resource sheet here. So what I have now is that I have a quantity of 10 hours here.
Okay.
For that specific sidewalk here. So if we just drill in again, saying my sidewalk, for the sidewalk I have specified that for that specific type of activity, my production rate is 10 per hour. And what I have done one level above is that I have specified that I need to produce 100, that could be line feet of the sidewalk.
Okay.
It would then last, and then I will check in my resource sheet, the 10 hours to produce this. Does that make sense?
Okay. And then if you go back to that sidewalk, to that labor again, actually I think it's the next level down. You could actually build an assembly or a condition to pop up there to have somebody enter that.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you can set the production rate.
Yeah.
Shall I do that quickly?
Yeah, let's do that. The only reason I say that point is we're recording this, and then we just go back and watch it half a dozen times, and then we can just go build our own. But it's nice to to have an example to go back to. That's what I did last time when I did something else. I just had the video on the right screen, and I was actually working on my left screen, and so I was able to just recreate things that Magnus had done. And the more we do it, the easier it's going to get for us.
Exactly. So we could say that line feed, then we could have production rate, then I will go to my execution script saying, then I could do something like self set production rate maybe.
How do you get that pop-up box to do that? Did you just hit the space bar, you said?
Control space.
Okay.
I think I called that sidewalk, didn't I? I think so. So verify. What I've done now is that if we just have a check, oh, I forgot the important thing that I should do. The first file the thing. So what I can do now is that I can specify that I would have a 100 line feet and I would have a production rate of 25. What it should do now is that it should specify, I need to go one level up, that I would specify 100 meters of my sidewalk, I think I specified, and my production rate of my labor here should be 25. So this self-set something actually refers to the column name here. And the self-set should always be added to the component or the line item itself.
All right, and then show me how you got that down into my library. You just drag that down?
Yeah, if I would like to drag this sidewalk, I can add it here.
Okay.
Then I would have it in my library.
All right.
The thing with the library is actually I don't know if it makes sense, but having a low or one quantity there, so you always drag them in with the lowest possible,
All right.
or being reset, so to speak.
All right. Well, that gives me something to work on today. I'm going to just go ahead and build a couple more assemblies and see if I can figure it out.
Yeah.
All right. And then I'll send the recording to you as well. So I mean, that way Magnus can look at what you did, and then we'll know where to go.
Yeah. Did you have a question regarding cost code?
What's that?
Did you have a question regarding cost codes?
Yeah, and it's not a big deal. If you go back here, if you look at the bottom, I think cost code, this is personal opinion here, cost codes are kind of confusing to people that are not sophisticated, right? So I just used you had a column called a field called operation.
Yeah.
And we can do this next time. At some point, I want to be able to create a report that says, I want a report that groups everything, and I don't know how many I have down here. Let's go back up here real quick. Let me go in.
Dennis, I got to log out. I have another meeting.
That's fine. I'll send this to you.
Magnus, thank you very much for your time today, and I'll or Fleming, excuse me, and I will shoot you a little idea using Excel over to you.
Perfect.
All right, great. Thank you very
much.
much.
Yeah,
yep,
thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Bye-bye.
So I have a couple items here. Let's see if I have, right here, these two items, 212 and 213, they both have the same operation number, 1000, okay? Yeah. And I think that's the only two that are the same for some reason. I thought I had a lot of different ones. So at some point, we'd want to be able to run a report saying, hey, I know these are two different items. One's janitorial, one's office, but we consider them to be the same operation or same cost code. I'd want to get a report that then says, gives me a subtotal for everything in this, it's tied to the 1000 operation. So give me my labor budget, my material budget, just for that number, for the 1,000 operations.
Shall I show you the quick way to do it?
Yeah, show me a quick way. Show me a quick way.
Yeah. So
I like quick.
Inside. Yeah.
Right.
If you go inside, and then I create an inside view here,
Right.
and I will add it, saying, I'll just call it test here,
Yeah.
and then I will add some content, and I will add, and then you had group and operations, I think it was, like that.
Okay.
And I will add, I don't know, let's just say a category next here.
Right.
And I will add maybe category here, also say maybe the text here. Come on, like that. And then I would say I would like to show columns. I would like to show my quantities. I would like to have my total cost and my price per quantity. I will apply them to all levels, saying OK. And then I would say OK as well here. What I will have now is that I will have a view here saying that on my operation 1000, I have some materials group like that. I can,
yep.
And then it's...
That's exactly what I want.
Yeah, something like that. And with this inside, you have a quite powerful tool to actually have reports.
And then
you can have it exactly export to Excel or have it in a PDF.
Yeah, I would want to take out, hang on a second, if I get just to this level here, I want to be able to export out just what you're looking at right there.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You can do that either here, or you can do it in the report module too.
Yeah, but for right now, for my demo purposes and for what I'm doing, that's exactly what I need to show them. But at least I can show them, I can summarize it, and we'll show them how to get it out at some other point. Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Bobby, I appreciate your time. It's time for you to go home now.
It's a pleasure.
Go watch some Olympics. You guys are kicking our hiney. We're not very good at the winter, you know.
Yeah, I think so. We have no medals, by the way. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a few, but yeah, it's just like that cross-country skiing. I'll tell you what, those guys are some athletes. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, that's typical Norwegian or Swedish guys. They are quite good at that.
Man, well, unbelievable.
Great.
All right, hey, have a great night, and I'm going to go ahead and I'll send this recording to you probably in about an hour or so.
Perfect. Take care, then.
All right, have a nice week.
Thank you for now.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.